Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. In our FinTech TV exclusive segment, Dan Tapiero, Managing Partner, CEO, and CIO of 1RT and 10T, discusses the evolving landscape of crypto companies, IPOs, and the relationship between gold and Bitcoin.
Dan Tapiero is a veteran digital assets investor who manages over $1.4 billion in crypto holdings across 24 companies. Now, he joined me here at the New York Stock Exchange to talk crypto companies, IPOs, and Bitcoin. Take a look. I know that all of us have been keeping a close eye on gold prices, which recently hit record highs, soaring past 3,000 and hitting 3,500. So I understand that you see a relationship between gold and the second largest economy in the world when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. Can you explain and break this down for us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of the few guys in the space, maybe because I'm older, but I actually came to Bitcoin as a result of my involvement in gold. And in 08-09, I launched a physical gold company called GBI, Gold Bullion International, with a partner. And in 2000, I think it was 13, we became the first place where you could buy or sell gold to buy or sell Bitcoin or Ripple. So I have a bias. I've been a long-time gold guy, but I think it's really easy. It's a store of value. When we founded the company, after 08, we were worried about the debasement of fiat currency through negative real interest rates that the Fed had implemented. And so we were really worried that our purchasing power was being devalued. And I think that's the same sort of concept behind Bitcoin. There are many different concepts, many different reasons to own it, but it is the digital form of that. And I always say, if you don't understand what's going on in the digital world, it's very easy to think about it this way. The internet was the digitization of information and ideas, okay? Bitcoin and blockchain are the digitization of money and value. And it's the same process. And it's still early in the development. So lots of opportunities still.
Yeah, so in addition to the crypto majors, of course, we're paying attention to what's happening in altcoins as well. And I understand that you're not a fan of XRP per se. But
well, I mean, I wouldn't go that far. No, I'll let you finish your question.
No, go ahead if you want to elaborate on that.
Well, I wouldn't say not a fan. I just think it's a centralized cryptocurrency. But look, it has stood the test of time. It's been around for over 10, 12 years. You know, in our space, that's called Lindy effect and Metcalfe's combined. They've been able to build a massive portfolio in the space. I know they have some part of their business that's focused on payments. We've actually even invested in a company together called Futureverse down in New Zealand. So, you know, they're very important in the overall ecosystem. However, there are communities on X, as you know, that are very tight-knit. You have the Bitcoin community, the Ethereum community, the Solana community. So often you hear, you know, those communities, you know, I mean, getting on top and hammering Ripple because it's not decentralized. And, you know, I understand that, and I think the other ones have more intrinsic value. But you can't ignore the staying power of Ripple. And so I'm always of, you know, two minds about it, but I'm super impressed. And of course, Garlinghouse, the CEO, has been very pivotal in some of the changes that have happened in DC. He and Brian Armstrong from Coinbase both have been fantastic spokespeople for the space generally. So I'm very supportive.
And Dan, finally, before I let you go, we're here at the New York Stock Exchange. Tell us your expectations when it comes to listings, M&A, IPOs in terms of what's happening here in the U.S. And what are your expectations?
Yeah, I think my hope in the next sort of 3-4 years is that we have at least 50 companies that are crypto, blockchain, Web3, digital asset businesses. It's still so early, we don't even have one name for all the activity in the space. I tend to call it the digital asset ecosystem. At least 40, 50 companies public, and I always say, you know, I don't know many things with a 99% degree of certainty, but I do know with a 99% degree of certainty that Coinbase will not be the only large crypto blockchain company in the next 5 years. And so we think we own many of the next companies that'll be public. But I think, look, the American investor wants to own cash flowing businesses that have a moat, have a proper balance sheet, income statement. We tend not to invest directly in the cryptocurrencies. The businesses that we invest in are part of the infrastructure that are building this digital asset world. They often have cryptocurrency on their balance sheet, but not in all cases. And so I think going through the process of listing, whether it's an IPO or SPAC, my fourth fund has launched a SPAC, so we potentially will SPAC a company in this space. I think that process, going through it, gives us a little more validation. And as you know, there have been bumps in the last 5 to 10 years. Of course, FTX was a big problem. And so for companies that are legitimate, that are doing big business, hundreds of millions, in some cases billions of revenue, the stamp of approval of a public listing and also access to all the traditional world capital that's sitting there. I mean, 99% of the capital that has no exposure to digital assets, they can come in and invest in a stock, in a company that, CEO, a proper business, not crazy stuff. I think we're sort of a gateway, a bridge from the old world to the new, and I think the listings are going to surprise you how many companies will come public.
Well, Dan, we will have to leave it there, but I think it's so befitting that we're here at the New York Stock Exchange having this discussion. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
A Moment of Zen is sponsored by FinTech TV.
FinTech TV, the newest streaming channel focused exclusively on the business of blockchain, digital assets, and sustainability. Broadcasting from our studio on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with daily reports from NASDAQ, global expansion, and 24/7 coverage. Become part of the launch. Head to fintech.tv/invest. Fintech.tv/invest.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.